Hi guys, Coach Fenz here from FTP Training. Alright, what we're going to look at today is exercising in hot and humid conditions. Okay, in Australia we face these quite a lot, and obviously more humid conditions as we go north, but massively hot conditions down in Perth, for instance, and Adelaide during the summer. So how do we overcome this, and how do we continue to exercise when, you know, the outside temperatures are in the 30s, humidity's in the 80+%? Alright, to understand what's happening is the body needs to dissipate heat, and when we're exercising, we're creating heat. And therefore, within a hot environment as well, our body struggles to maintain a core temperature which, you know, is not going to cause us major issues. So we normally pump and distribute blood around the organs and towards the skin, and there evaporative, from our sweat, evaporative cooling takes place, and it cools our core. Especially in humid conditions, and especially on the mountain bike, we're not actually going very fast, and therefore that cooling effect is reduced, and our body then is going to struggle to reduce core body temperature, and therefore to do so we need to throttle back on our exercise intensity, and this can affect performance quite dramatically. Okay, so there's some techniques that we can use, that we use within the professional scene and within our professional riders to help them perform in those incredibly hot conditions. Okay, so one of the great things to do is to pre-cool before you start a stage or before you start your event. And how can you do that? There are various methods, i.e. there are cooling vests which have cold water pumped around them. Again, really for elite riders. Cold vests filled with ice that you might bring in a cool box, in an esky, to the start, and you wear it before the start of the event. Again, it's an investment in something which is, you know, quite a elite type way of cooling. The easiest way to do it is to use ice in tights. Again, it's something we use a lot on the road, and we hand it up to riders, and you'll see during stage races like the Tour de France, etc., the DS in the car handing out ice socks for the riders to put behind their neck. Alright, so tights, as in female or women's tights, you can fill up small packets of ice, tie them off, put them in your cool box, in your esky. Okay, before the start, you can put one on the back of your neck. The neck's not the best place to put it. Around your carotid arteries is far more efficient at cooling your core, because obviously that blood it's a main artery and it's distributed straight into the core, and that blood's cooled. But again, anywhere that you can cool your body by putting some ice. What I've done with a lot of riders, especially again in the mountain bikes before national rounds, for instance, is to just underneath their jersey put ice cubes. Again, they melt, you're going to get a cooling effect, and helping to keep that core body temperature down before you start the event. Research has shown that's a very important consideration. Okay, another thing to do and to think about is cold drinks. You could, for instance, you know, again in your esky, bring cold drinks, but you could bring one, especially in really hot conditions, that's frozen. You can put a bidon on your bike that's frozen, and a big bidon for you to have through that first sort of half an hour, 3/4 of an hour of exercise. By that time, the other bottle is melted, but it's still cold. Again, by drinking cold fluids, they're very easy to drink when it's hot, of course, and get them down you. But also that cold fluid is going to help reduce core temperature. Okay, so there's a couple of techniques, a couple of methods you can use. Remembering that on the road you're traveling faster, and therefore it's easier to create that evaporative cooling. Mountain biking is more difficult. So if you have friends out there on a mountain bike looped course, for instance, you know, them with an esky handing up ice stockings is a great way to cool yourself, as well as ice drinks. In those conditions as well, especially when humid, you need to remember that you might not feel like you're sweating a huge amount, because you can't gauge how much you're sweating because of the humidity. You need to make sure that you're consuming and hydrating properly with an electrolyte within your drinks. Okay, vitally important, especially in longer events where, you know, you're going to be depleting a lot of minerals through the event. and for stage races, remembering that you're not just fueling and hydrating for that day, you're fueling and hydrating for the next day. Post race, what's a good method? A good method is to, again, within the esky, have cold towel. Cold towel placed around the neck is an excellent way to start cooling. Cold, taking your shirt off, putting that into cold water and putting that back on, another great way to keep cool post stage. Okay, that's vitally important because core temperature will be hot. You won't have had, especially on longer stages, very difficult to continually get that cold fluid or ice to given to you. So cooling that temperature off will help and aid recovery straight after a race. If you have access to a cold bath, that's a great way. Immersion in cold water is a great way to bring that temperature down. You know, a lot of the times we use, you know, local streams or rivers to just go and cool yourself down quickly after the stage. Helps a huge amount. Also helps to flush your body from a lot of the issues that you've had, muscular damage, and get that blood flowing throughout the body and the lymph. All right, guys, look, that's an important consideration and something which, especially for hot and humid conditions, you should be thinking about. And if you can start planning for that, having those things available to you, I know that it will help you massively when it comes to the event. All right, guys, I hope that's helped, and I'll catch you out on the road or trail. Bye-bye.